When you're fishing a stream or floating a river, should you try to cover a lot of territory in a day's time? Well, can you catch more fish that way? Wow! That's a beauty. Good morning, guys and girls. March 10, we're going to be looking at Ephesians 4:29. Ephesians 4:29. Oh, this is a good one. This is short. When you talk, do not say harmful things. That's right. When you talk, do not say harmful things. Oh, that's a good one. Let's see what I wrote about that. I love to visit with the people I'm fishing with when I'm just fishing for fun. Now, if I'm in a tournament, I'm not very talkative. I don't really want to give seminars. I don't want people asking a lot of questions when I'm tournament fishing. And you know that I didn't fish tournaments last year or this year. And I may go back fishing tournaments, but I'll be totally honest. I'm not missing them at all. I'm not missing tournaments. I'm really enjoying not having all that time marked off on my calendar, and I'm enjoying getting to spend a lot of time with Chris and a lot more time fishing, just fishing and having fun. Some of my best days fishing have been with my very good friend, almost a brother, Joe Hall, who used to own Blakemore Roadrunners. He sold that company years ago to Daiichi True Turn, and they've done a great job with the company. We talk about everything from our beautiful wives to politics to business. Sometimes when I'm talking about one thing, while Joe is talking about something entirely different. You know, you ever do that where you're carried on a conversation, the guy you're with the other end of the boat is talking about a totally different conversation? As you get older, you can't hear very well anyway. And I've shot too many shotguns and run too many thousands and thousands of miles, you know, with a big Mercury motor back behind me, and they're not nearly as quiet back in those days as they are now. Now you can't even hardly hear them back there. But my hearing is not real good at all. And I've just shot thousands of rounds of ammunition. And Joe is just old. That's all. Joe's just old. His hearing's not good anyway. So we can't hear good anyway. So it doesn't really matter what they're talking about back there. We probably can't understand him. I think everybody mumbles nowadays anyway. And so you just talk about whatever you want to talk about. He's talking about whatever he wants to talk about, and we have fun. Amazingly, we still catch fish. That's the amazing thing. We still catch fish. God gave us the ability to communicate so we can be helpful to one another. You hear that? God gave us the ability to communicate so that we can be helpful to one another. He didn't give us that so we can be harmful to one another, to be helpful to one another. One of my most frequent prayers is, please God, don't let me say anything bad about anybody. And can I tell you, if you're a tournament fisherman, if you're a competitor of any kind, or you love competition, you follow a sports team or a sports period, it's almost built in that you will have opportunities to say something bad about your competition. And so many times we do it. So many times it just feels good sometimes to say something bad about your competition. And it happens more frequently if your competition is having success. I've heard so many people say nasty things about the University of Oklahoma football. I've heard so many people say nasty things about Alabama football and Nick Saban. And they say those nasty things just because of the success that you're having at a particular time. It happens the same way in tournaments. And in tournaments, and in real life, in everything you do, the devil uses harmful things said about people as a tool, as a weapon, as a lure. And a lot of times he lets other people cast that lure to you. We'll have people come up to us at tournaments and say, oh, you hear about so-and-so down in Okeechobee? I heard they about disqualified him for blah, 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 blah. Now, whether you heard about it or not, you have the opportunity to do one of two things. You can say something nice, or you can pile on. You can throw gasoline on the fire. You can bite that lure and say, well, he's bad about that. I'm telling you, he's bad about that. Wouldn't surprise me a bit. Or you might even say something nastier. Well, yeah, he does that all the time. That's the reason he won. And if he wouldn't have won if he hadn't done that. I mean, you can get real ugly in that if you really want to. And the devil's throwing you that bait. But instead, Did you hear about old so-and-so down there? I heard he about got disqualified for such and such. I don't know. I don't think he did that. I don't know. But he's a nice guy. He's a terrific fisherman. And I mean, just say something nice instead of saying something. But it's easy to do, and it's you want to do it sometime. You want to do it, and so that's what this scripture is all about. Do not say harmful things about anybody. When you talk, do not say harmful things. Instead, say something good. Say something nice. And I catch myself many times, particularly in tournament fishing, because when you're doing bad and someone else is doing good, and it particularly might not be a really nice guy that's doing good, and somebody says something, it's real easy for you to jump in there and pile on. Don't do that. Say something nice. Say something good about them. You know, they just might walk away from there saying, I can't believe he was so nice about that guy that just kicked his tail in the tournament. Yeah. Don't say bad things. Don't say bad things. When you talk, don't say harmful things. Okay, here's our tip for today. When floating a stream, do not try to cover too much territory in one day. Take your time. One of the greatest things about floating a stream or a river, you're usually in a rubber raft or a canoe or a kayak. Take your time. Enjoy what God's created out there for you. One of the greatest things about floating a stream, bass fishing, smallmouth, bluegill fishing, trout fishing, whatever you're doing, is that experience. You do it a lot with only one person or many times by yourself. Enjoy the experience. Take your time. I've got little mini power poles on my kayaks. I use a Jackson kayak, and I've got a power pole, mini power pole on the back. Push a button, a power pole down. I can stop and fish a little point or a little stream. I can stop, put my point down, and maybe watch an eagle's nest up there on the hillside, or see a deer walking across in the woods. You know that I love deer. And I can enjoy what God created out there in addition to enjoying the fishing. So much of fishing is really not about fishing. So much of fishing is just getting with yourself or a close friend and enjoying what God created for us to enjoy. So when you're floating those streams, take your time, enjoy what God created for you. Guys and girls, go out there and have you a great one today. It's going to be another great day everywhere. And remember, I sure do love you.